Get ready for an electrifying journey through the history of rock. From the riffs that set the 60s on fire to the solos that made crowds vibrate in arenas all over the world. In this video, we are going to remember those songs that not only played on the radio, but ignited hearts, created generations, and forever changed the sound of music. If you feel the power of rock pulsing in your veins, then turn up the volume, because the show is about to begin. The greatest rock anthems of all time. Released in 1991 as the opening track of the Metallica album, the legendary Black Album, Enter Sandman was written by James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Kirk Hammett. Recorded at the height of mainstream metal consolidation, the song marked Metallica's shift to a more accessible yet still heavy sound, combining powerful riffs with impeccable production that conquered the world. The song delves into the childhood fears and nightmares we've all faced, transforming them into pure sonic energy. Hetfield was inspired by the folklore character Sandman. The lyrics, in turn, were created from a riff that Hammett had crafted at 3 a.m. and was refined after suggestions from Lars Ulrich. Curiously, the band even changed the original lyrics because they were considered too heavy. Enter Sandman exploded on the charts and became the definitive metal anthem of the 90s. It was the soundtrack for sports, shows, and movies, immortalizing Metallica as titans of rock. It's impossible to hear the opening chords without feeling the ground shake. Released in 1987 on the album Appetite for Destruction, Sweet Child of Mine was born from an improvisation during rehearsal. Slash created the iconic riff as a warm-up exercise. The other band members helped develop it, and Axl Rose turned it into one of the most recognizable melodies in rock history. The track quickly took Guns N' Roses from the Los Angeles underground to the top of the charts, establishing them as a global phenomenon. Are a declaration of love inspired by Axl's girlfriend, Erin Everly, capturing tenderness and intensity amidst the hard rock. Curiously, Slash initially didn't like the song, finding it too sappy, but the combination of the unforgettable riff with Axl's voice transformed the track into an instant classic.
Where do we go now? Where do we go?
Sweet Child of Mine became an anthem for generations, spanning decades without losing its impact. With a memorable solo and chorus, it's impossible to hear it and not feel the vibe.
Oh, where do we go?
Released in 1980 on the eponymous album, Back in Black, the track marked Brian Johnson's debut on vocals after Bon Scott's death. Composed by Angus Young, Malcolm Young, and Johnson, the song combines powerful riffs and a catchy beat, establishing AC/DC's characteristic sound. Produced by Robert John Mutt Lange, it became a hard rock landmark and the calling card for the band's best-selling album. The lyrics are a celebration of life and a tribute to Bon Scott's legacy, blending irreverence and energy. Johnson sang about moving forward, even in the face of loss, while Angus Young's riff became iconic. Curiously, the band recorded much of the album in just a few weeks, maintaining the intensity and raw spirit of rock. The impact of Back in Black was tremendous. It became a rock anthem, featured in movies, sports, and events worldwide. The song solidified AC/DC as a living legend.
Because I'm easy come, easy go, little high. Mama, she's killed a man.
Released in 1975 on the album A Night at the Opera, Bohemian Rhapsody is Freddie Mercury's masterpiece and the peak of Queen's boldness. Clocking in at almost 6 minutes, the song mixes ballad, opera, and rock without a chorus, creating a unique and innovative narrative. Recorded in London with pioneering techniques of layering vocals and instruments, it broke all the rules of the music industry at the time. The lyrics remain shrouded in mystery and interpretation. Mercury never fully explained its meaning, leaving room for theories about crime, guilt, and destiny. Between operatic harmonies and explosive solos, each section seems to tell its own story, making the song a sonic theatrical spectacle, capable of transporting the listener through different emotions in minutes. Bohemian Rhapsody shocked critics but enchanted the public, becoming timeless. It is a work that crosses generations and inspires musicians of all stripes. A true celebration of rock's creative power.
Nothing really matters to me.
Released in 1972 on the album Machine Head, Smoke on the Water was born from a real-life incident that became a legend. During the band's stay in Montreux, Switzerland, a fire destroyed the casino where they were scheduled to record during a Frank Zappa concert. Inspired by the chaos, Ritchie Blackmore created one of rock's most famous riffs, and the song took shape as a direct account of that day. The lyrics describe the scene with cinematic precision. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. It is rock narrating its own history. Tragedy transformed into art. The raw and striking sound, with the unmistakable timbre of Blackmore's guitars and the weight of John Lord's organ, defined Deep Purple's style and inspired entire generations of musicians. When released, Smoke on the Water became an instant anthem. The riff is a rite of passage for any guitarist, the first step for those who dream of mastering the instrument. Simple, powerful, and eternal. 4 notes were enough to set the world of rock on fire. Have you already checked out our list of concept albums that every rock fan needs to hear before they die? Masterpieces that blew minds when they came out and still sound powerful today. Click on the card appearing at the top of your screen. Released in 1971 on the legendary Led Zeppelin IV, Stairway to Heaven was born from the magical partnership between Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. Recorded at Headley Grange, an old English mansion, the song blends folk, blues, and rock into a sonic journey of nearly 8 minutes. From its initial softness to its explosive climax, it became Led Zeppelin's definitive masterpiece and a milestone in modern music. The lyrics are a spiritual journey full of metaphors and symbolism. Plant wrote it inspired by mystical themes and the search for meaning in life. The song grows in intensity, leading the listener to a kind of musical enlightenment. Wrapped in legends and theories, Stairway to Heaven remains a fascinating enigma, with verses that seem to change meaning with every listen. Upon its release, Stairway to Heaven redefined the concept of a rock anthem. It is a song that transcends time and genre, an almost religious experience for those who listen to it.
And she's buying that stairway to heaven.
Released in 1970 on the album Paranoid, the title track emerged almost by chance in the studio. Black Sabbath needed an extra song to complete the album, and Tony Iommi created the riff in a few minutes. Geezer Butler wrote the lyrics, Ozzy created the vocal melody, and within hours, one of the greatest classics of heavy metal was born. Recorded in London, Paranoid solidified the band's dark, heavy, and unmistakable sound. The lyrics talk about the effects of depression and anxiety, exploring the feeling of not being able to connect with others. It is a raw portrait of the mind of someone fighting their own demons, not understanding what they feel. Despite its simplicity, the song carries a brutal honesty. Curiously, the band never imagined this last-minute track would become their biggest hit. The impact was immediate. Paranoid elevated Black Sabbath to legendary status and paved the way for modern heavy metal. It is pure energy, unfiltered, uncompromising, fast, heavy, and eternal. The explosion that transformed anguish into power. Released in 1968 on the Steppenwolf album, Born to Be Wild was written by Mars Bonfire, the drummer's brother, and quickly became the symbol of rebellion on two wheels. With distorted guitars and John Kay's raspy vocals, the track was one of the first to use the phrase heavy metal long before the genre took shape. Recorded in Los Angeles, it captured the free and untamed spirit of the youth of the time. The lyrics are an invitation to the road, to freedom, and to pure adrenaline, a cry against the shackles of society. Get your motor running, head out on the highway became a mantra for entire generations. When the movie Easy Rider brought the song to the screen, Born to Be Wild turned into the soundtrack of the counterculture and the American dream of living without limits. The impact was immediate and lasting. Born to Be Wild became the biker anthem, the war cry for those seeking to live intensely. It's impossible to listen to it and not feel the wind on your face.
We were born to be wild. We can climb so high.
Released in 1965 as a single, Satisfaction was born from a dream of Keith Richards, who woke up in the middle of the night with the riff and a chorus in his head, recorded it on a Philips cassette recorder, and went back to sleep. The next day, Mick Jagger added details to the lyrics inspired by frustration with consumerism and modern boredom. Recorded in Los Angeles during the American tour, the track marked the Stones' definitive ascent to the top of world rock. The song is an acidic critique of mass culture and the illusions of fame. I Can't Get No Satisfaction became the cry of dissatisfaction for an entire generation. Richards initially thought the riff sounded too aggressive, as he had recorded it with a fuzz pedal merely to simulate a horn section. But Jagger saw the spark of revolution there and insisted on keeping the distorted guitar sound. The result was a rebellious, raw anthem, full of attitude and provocation. Satisfaction exploded on the radio, dominated the charts, and defined the sound of the Rolling Stones forever. It is the portrait of the restless youth of the 60s, a track that never ages. Released in 1958, Johnny B. Goode is one of the foundational cornerstones of rock and roll. Written, sung, and played by Chuck Berry, the track features an explosive riff that shaped the sound of an entire generation. Partially inspired by Berry's own trajectory, the music was born at a time when rock was still being invented, and it helped define what the genre would be from then on. The lyrics tell the story of a country boy with a natural talent for the guitar, dreaming of becoming a star. It is a celebration of hope, perseverance, and the transformative power of music. Curiously, NASA included Johnny B. Goode among the 27 songs capable of representing planet Earth on the Voyager Golden Record, sent into space in 1977. a true tribute to human genius. The cultural impact was gigantic. The Beatles, the Stones, and practically all the great names in rock drew from this source. Johnny B. Goode is more than a song. It's the birth of the rebel guitarist myth. Go, Johnny, go! These songs are not just tracks on an album, they're the living soul of rock. Every riff, every solo, and every scream into the microphone helped build a history that spans generations and continues to inspire new sounds even today. But now I want to hear from you. Which song do you think can't be left out of part 2? Drop that heavy hitter that marked your life in the comments. And of course, if you liked the video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with that WhatsApp crew that breathes rock and lives at maximum volume. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, rock is the sound of revolution with a guitar solo in the middle. See you in the next video.